Hello everyone, my name is Trevor Barnes. Welcome to Alley Ridge. Today is part 2 of my MacBook situation, which you can see right here. This is indeed my 15-inch MacBook Pro repaired from Apple. I talked about this in my first video, which was actually a live stream we did. Link will be down there if you want to go check it out. But briefly, I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version of what happened. It all started when my dad bought a new MacBook, very similar to the one I got here, except it was the 0.1 gigahertz slower model. It didn't have some extra storage and things like that this model has. Paid $1,000 on eBay for it from a good, reputable eBay seller. Got the MacBook. It appeared at first to have a faulty power charger, but if anyone has Macs and several Macs and have used them for a long time, you know that the power chargers can be deceiving at times. They get a little wacky. We had other Macs and other Mac chargers around. Wasn't a big deal originally. I will go to investigate the issue. I plugged the power charger into my MacBook here, and it seemed to be working. It was charging. Wasn't paying attention for a couple hours. Went to go get the MacBook, and the MacBook was at 5% battery. I'm like, that was weird. It was plugged in. I go to plug it into a different Mac charger, and it wasn't working. Wasn't charging. Inevitably, the battery dies, and my MacBook is completely dead. What makes it even worse is while we were trying to figure out what happened, because it was not immediately clear that it was the power charger that killed my MacBook, another MacBook got killed by this faulty power charger as well. It was a 13-inch MacBook Pro. We plugged it in to see if it was going to work, and that computer never turned back on. Now, that all happened on November 21st, the day before Thanksgiving, so nothing was open, very little could be done. I first contacted the eBay seller on the 22nd, which was Thanksgiving, just to say, hey, we have a problem here. Your charger killed 2 of my computers. When Friday the 23rd came around and businesses were open again, I went to the Apple store and I brought my MacBook. This is my work laptop. I use it to not only help make this type of content, but do all the other stuff we do here, you know, and I need my computer. There was no doubt about that. I need it fixed immediately. So they determined it was the logic board that failed. They also confirmed that it was the faulty power charger that did it, and they gave me an estimate for $575. I told them to go ahead with the repairs because I didn't think it was the worst price in the world. It was a lot cheaper than buying a new MacBook or even a used one to this spec. Did I want to spend that money? Absolutely not. But I needed to do something because I needed the computer back. And not to mention there was data specifically on the computer that I couldn't even back up at that point since the computer was just completely, would not turn on, totally dead. So I tell them to go ahead with the repair. Ultimately, price-wise, I thought Apple was reasonable with that price. 3 days later, I got a phone call saying the computer was ready to be picked up, so that was very fast, much faster than I could have done anything else. So in the meantime, just to give you some context, I didn't hear back from the eBay seller until that Sunday, late Sunday evening, and they were like, send us your MacBooks and we'll take a look at them. And I'm like, hey, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that. So that's kind of where we left things in the past video. I didn't actually pick up my MacBook yet, nor did I hear back from the eBay seller at that point, and that was where part 1 ended. So it's been almost 4 weeks since that part 1 video. So where are we now? Well, I obviously got my MacBook back, so let's talk about Apple's service and how they did with my MacBook. They did a fantastic job. Not only did they replace the logic board, which includes the CPU and the GPU in this model, but they also replaced the speakers because they said it wasn't adequate with what they thought were the Apple standard. And a mystical other things that just were on the part sheet, so they replaced like different cables and different things. And the total was exactly what they quoted me, $575 exactly plus tax. All came out to be like $610 or something like that. I was extremely satisfied with the work. Speakers did indeed sound better. My thermals have been very good, and that's something that interests me a lot, because if you know anything about Apple products, and we've talked a lot about it with thermal throttling issues, and Apple uses terrible thermal compound on their CPUs from the factory. This repair, from what I was told, they don't do in the store. They actually send out to a third party, and they have them do it there. So my guess is the thermal compound that's on my computer now is probably just generic, you know, compound, which is probably significantly better than what Apple uses, because my thermals have been great, the computer's been quiet. Everything's been honestly fantastic with the computer since I've gotten it repaired. So kudos to Apple in my service experience, because this was the first time I ever had to get a MacBook repaired for any reason. This was an overall good experience. Did I want to spend that money? No, but that wasn't Apple's fault that it broke. It was a faulty power charger. So in all reality, as far as my experience with Apple, it was nothing but pleasant with this MacBook. Now to the eBay seller. To this day, I've yet to hear back. I've contacted the eBay seller several times, explained the situation, never heard back. I opened an eBay case at that point because I was like, I'm not hearing back. This is unacceptable. Like, the product that they sold me caused damage to 2 other MacBooks. You know, like I said in that video, probably $1,000 worth of damage, which is definitely true. I'll explain in a second. You know, and the MacBook's values, if you were to say the full value, you got, you know, almost $2,000 worth of MacBooks that just got destroyed. So I opened up an eBay case. It got closed like 2 days later. I was like, what the hell happened? This is ridiculous. They said they sided with the seller. So I call eBay. They gave me some crap about it wasn't categorized correctly, the case or something or another, and they got it fixed, even though I had to talk to several people before they really understood what I was saying. And I talked to a guy who essentially said that eBay doesn't really guarantee you know, anything, you know, when an item you get affects something else. They actually said it happens a lot. Yeah, let's just say this. Let's say you get a power bank, okay? And it was faulty, and it killed your $1,000 iPhone. You would blame the person that sold you that power brick, wouldn't you? Or maybe the company, I'll give you that as well, that makes the power brick. But let's say it's used, and they deliberately sold you a faulty power brick. Well, then you go after that company. That's pretty, you know, that makes sense to me. eBay's policies don't really work like that. They guarantee that the item that you receive will work correctly, but they don't guarantee anything besides that. So I was like, okay, I want to get in contact with them, hopefully making the case that will happen. Well, it is not. They still have not received any contact, and at this point, eBay can't guarantee anything. We haven't even been reimbursed for the extra power charger we had to, you know, buy, and to me, that would make more sense. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm actually very flabbergasted by this situation, that they don't have the nerve to at least communicate. I'm not saying that I'm expecting to get a refund of the $575 plus tax it cost to fix this, and then the amount of money I found out yesterday would take to fix the 13-inch MacBook, which we'll get into in a second. But I expected something from them, at very minimum communication. At first, it seemed like it was going to be a good experience because they had a nice message for the first message. We're so sorry to hear that. We'll do everything we can. That just went right out the window. So who do I blame here for that? I blame eBay mostly, to be honest, because eBay's letting this happen on their platform. I'm going to call this that eBay screwed me. Did the seller screw me? Yeah, sure. But eBay's letting this happen when eBay does have the power and the control to make this right. You know, being a valuable eBay customer for almost 10 years, that's how long the eBay account's been around. You would think they would want to treat their customers better. This is a very bad experience, and though I will say, once I got to like the 5th person I talked to, eBay was sympathetic. I also have to say, when I call them, I talked to like 3 rude people, which I did complain about on the phone. I'm not normally that much like, and I'm not picky when I talk to people. I'm not going after them. I was not mad at eBay before that phone call. I was very mad at them and kind of disgusted with the process after I got off the phone call. So I do blame eBay for that. So where does this leave everything now? Well, yesterday I took the 13-inch MacBook to the Apple Store to get a quote. Wasn't as important as getting this MacBook fixed. I was waiting to see what was going to happen with eBay. I've come to the conclusion nothing's going to happen with that. We're not going to get a refund or anything. So I took that MacBook to the Apple Store to get a quote, and it was $475. To give you some further context on that, this MacBook is a 2012, I believe, MacBook Pro Retina display, base model with the i5, so it's worth maybe $475. It's not worth the repair, which really sucks. That, I will say, I felt like Apple should have had a lower price on that repair. I was very satisfied with the repair on this, but only being $100 cheaper. You know, and you're getting a lot less. You're not worrying about this, you know, you're not worried about the dedicated GPU and the quad-core processor. It's a, you know, it's a less spec'd computer. So, I don't know. That was a little baffling to me. At this point, I'm not sure the exact direction we're going with that MacBook, but I think I'm going to be repairing it myself. So that might be a further video that we will do in the future of repairing the logic board by buying a new logic board and just swapping it out. So, because you can get them much, much cheaper than $475. So in conclusion here, what did we learn? I'm not going to end this video saying don't buy stuff on eBay. I think that's stupid. You know, there was no great happy ending to this story. My MacBook's fixed, that's great. We still have another MacBook that's dead that needs to be repaired. And by the end of all this, between the $610 I had to spend on this and the several $100s it's going to take to at least get a new logic board for the other computer, we're out, you know, probably $800 easily. So unfortunately, in this situation, there's no winners. You know, I lost big on this, but it is what it is. So. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this has not happened to you, but if it did, let us know below. I'm very curious to see what your Apple experience was overall with the Apple, you know, repair service. And I'm also curious to just know, you know, if you've had eBay scammers before or eBay bad experiences or whatever the case is. I'm really hoping that we can maybe build a little bit more of a community to like get the word out to eBay that this might be a bigger problem than it is. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. That's why I want your feedback. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys next time.